Panthers Nation, what up, dude? It's Aaron Duncan here with the necessary bluntness sports talk, bringing you Panthers news today during training camp. Another edition of this, like I said, weekly every Monday. We'll be bringing Panthers news, and we have a plethora of topics today talking about that training camp. And I am still recovering from my sunburn from being at the first week of Panthers training camp. So that is your news and update about me today. But we got a couple more important things to talk about in regards to the team, because we had the scrimmage over this past weekend, a team period mostly on Sunday. Team had Saturday, The team had Sunday off. Monday, they're back at it again. We have some new topics over this weekend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. But you guys know the rules per usual. If you want to skip around, well, why would you though? Chapters down below in the description of the video. I like to get your feedback and comments about each topic and your thoughts. So make sure you watch the whole video. Leave your thoughts down below. Let's chop it up in the comment section. All right. Let's go. So the first bit of news, let's take it back to the weekend, because obviously during the scrimmaging period, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, they were alternating, doing their thing. The numbers came up, but that's not what we were talking about. Obviously, the Panthers have been in the national spotlight ever since Baker Mayfield has come, so a lot of the transgressions of Matt Rhule are going to be brought back to the light. Some new, some old, some a big deal, some a little deal. Now, one thing that Matt Rhule caught a lot of flack about over the weekend was the fact that he broke after Rashard Higgins scored a long touchdown and celebrated. After diving into the end zone, Matt Rhule stopped the practice, brought everybody together, and made the offense run gassers, or sideline to sideline if you don't speak football jargon. Nevertheless, he made them run, which a lot of people in the national spotlight, including Andrew Hawkins, Warren Sharp, a lot of other people were just commenting, former players commenting about how elementary and college-like Rhule treats the team and how running for punishment doesn't seem like a thing that's a thing. I think a lot of people were taking it out of context, thinking he was punishing the team for celebrating the touchdown. Man, Rhule was criticizing for him reaching the ball out. Now, some people pulled the receipt saying Rhule makes sense by doing this because Rashard Higgins, he blew the game against Kansas City in 2020 by fumbling and diving for the goal line. And some people are saying that it's not that big of a deal because we saw Cam Newton doing it. We see Tom Brady doing it all the time when he goes for the 1 yard line. So there's a lot of mixed bags and mixed emotions. Me, myself, personally, I have been critical of Rhule, but this is not something I'm going to overreact to. To be honest, I understand, and it's okay. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to stick the ball out like that, to stop the practice and make them run. Nevertheless, I understand where Rhule's coming from, because he's had this same issue with Teddy. Remember Teddy against the Packers? He stuck the ball out, lost the ball, they ran it back. They pretty much changed the dynamic of the whole game because that was the drive before halftime. So Rhule's been pretty consistent in his thoughts and feelings towards this. So I can't really fault him for just trying to be on a power trip and break up whatever fun the offense was having. However, there is footage also from I guess a couple of weeks ago in training camp where Jeremy Chin got a big time interception on the sideline. Defense went crazy. He stopped the practice, and it's starting to seem like a pattern that, okay, why does he always have something to say when the team just goes crazy and goes wild? And so people are paying attention. People are starting to say stuff. Like I said, I see both sides, but I personally, I'm not going to overreact to this. Baker Mayfield himself today kind of defended Matt Rhule. He said he saw what was going on the internet and the narrative, and he had this to say.
Broken play and Higgins broke deep.
Yeah, a good double move post by Ickey. Yeah, he put the finishing touch on it. Obviously, Coach Rhule made sure that we're not sticking the ball out. A lot of people thought it was about his celebration, but no, he just got to do all the little things right, and that's what it's all about, you know, because even if that was a great play, somebody pokes at it, we're going to be hard on each other and hold each other accountable, because that's how we lose ball games, and we have to fix it in practice, and that's the time to learn from it.
So I was happy to see that Baker Mayfield's sticking up for his coach in the media. So, I mean, Baker's being a real leader, sticking by his coach, even though I don't know how Baker actually feels about it, but he seemed like he agreed, and he saw that. He was happy with the play that was made. He understands what Rhule's trying to do, and he's bought in. So I'm happy to hear Baker kind of sticking up for him, man. That's really mature, since the Browns claim they want an adult at quarterback. Seems real mature, Baker Mayfield, huh? Interesting how things happen. Let me know down below in the comments how you felt about Rhule breaking up the practice and people getting mad at Rhule for stopping the celebration or stopping the ball being stuck out. Let me know down below in the comments how you feel. But also coming out of this weekend is Marquise Haynes, our defensive end / edge, ended up getting carted off the field with an apparent knee injury in that scrimmaging period. And my stomach dropped. Now, Marquise Haynes is not a big-time factor or whatever. He's not a starter. But we were already thin at the edge position, as we had suspicion that we may sign a Carlos Dunlap. fitter, has made it clear that he wants to add another defensive end and possibly an interior defensive lineman. So we already had a need there regardless with Carlos Dunlap signing elsewhere. So taking a hit to Haynes was like the sky is falling because what options are out there? However, Marquise Haynes reports have come out after further evaluation. No structural damage. He was actually in a red jersey at Monday's practice. So that is a bullet that's been dodged. Obviously, since it's training camp and preseason, we don't have to have a injury report. So we don't really know the full disclosure of how Marquise Haynes will be going. But him actually being on the field, being in a red jersey is definitely a step forward because when you get carted off, to actually have somebody putting pressure on that leg, it is a breath of fresh air and a sigh of relief for me personally. I still think they could possibly sign a DN, JPP, Carl Nassib, Trey Flowers is out there, Jamie Collins, a couple guys that may not be a fit scheme-wise, but a couple bodies out there that we could use in the meantime, between time that are vets, they can provide some rotational pieces. So another piece of news, if you want to call it, or a rumor, things start to fly, is that all of a sudden the narrative just came out this morning on Monday, according to Ian Rappaport with NFL Network being at Panthers practice today, is that this thing was Baker's job to lose. I'm hearing Baker's job to lose. He kept saying this, something that he hasn't really said before. You have to be real careful when it comes to Ian Rappaport. And I've told you guys that he has somebody within Carolina that is probably paying him money. It could be Tepper. It could be anybody. Maybe Tepper's putting that out there that it's Baker's job to lose at this point. It's Baker's job to lose, even though Matt Rhule has come out and said that he has a date in his mind, which is probably after the second preseason game when he'll name that starter. Ian Rappaport kept pushing it today that it's Baker's job to lose. Baker's job to lose. He went on Pat McAfee's show. Baker's job to lose. Inside the training camp with NFL Network. Baker's job to lose. So you start to see things, and like I said, Ian knows somebody on the inside. Now, how trustworthy can he be? Who knows? But I feel like he's being paid just based off of other occurrences that I won't get into. But I feel like the type of information that Ian likes to push seems like narrative spinners. So it seems like Baker Mayfield may have that inside track because somebody's feeding him that information. And he wouldn't be telling bold-faced lies when he's at Panthers training camp if he didn't know something about it. So this is good news for a lot of Panthers fans because they want Baker to be the guy. They don't want Sam to have a chance, but we've seen enough from Sam. There's upside with Baker Mayfield where we've seen him be a top 12 quarterback in the NFL when we're talking about 2020. We know Sam Darnold has never reached those heights and possibly will never do it. It seems like from camp, from what I saw and all the reports recently since then, after I left camp, Sam Darnold has been pretty steady. Obviously, there's some interceptions popping up where Sam's going to be Sam, but Baker Mayfield has the higher highs, the bigger splash plays, the excitement, the respect of his teammates. He has a lot more command and respect from a lot of people on that field. You just feel the energy and the swagger coming from him. So it only makes sense. But rumors came out today that Sam Darnold was actually being on the trading block. Like they said that the Panthers were trying to trade Sam Darnold, but nobody wanted to take on that fifth-year option, according to Benjamin Albright, an NFL insider that kind of works for the Broncos beat, but he used a little bit plugged in on certain stances. He ended up backpedaling that statement after all the Carolina beat writers pretty much disagreed with it and came out and said all their sources inside the organization said that wasn't the truth. Now, you could say that Albright was just blowing smoke. You could say that his source probably just told him to him in passing from the outside. And you could say that the Carolina people are going to feed the beat writers information to make Sam not feel like he's on the trade block, because if you can't trade him and word comes out that you can't trade him because of that fifth-year option, it makes it such a pretty regular quarterback competition, a little bit more thicker just because you're actively shopping the guy. You know Baker's the guy, but at the same time, you're still splitting reps. It makes them look bad. So it would make sense for them to come out and tell the beat writers of Carolina that that rumor isn't true. But if there's smoke, there could be fire. Some people say that behind every lie is a little bit of truth. Maybe it is a little bit of truth. I don't know, but it seems like for all intents and purposes, Sam Darnold is here to stay because of that $19 million salary, because they want him to compete and push Baker Mayfield. And to get rid of him, they probably have to pay a good amount of salary and possibly give away a draft pick, i.e. the style that they did with Teddy Bridgewater, or take an L similar to how the Browns did when they gave us Baker Mayfield. So it doesn't make sense. You have a quality backup in, I say quality loosely, but in a spot, we've seen Sam Darnold have a couple good games last year. So in a spot, possibly he could be that guy if Baker has to miss a game. So I think it's better to hold on to Sam Darnold at this point. You guys let me know down below in the comments. Do you believe the rumors about Sam possibly being traded on the trade block and nobody really wanted him? Or do you think it's BS? Do you think they should trade Sam Darnold? There's another quick tidbit on the injury front is that C.J. Henderson, J.C. Horn, and Dante Jackson all together again as whole, because C.J. Henderson and obviously J.C. Horn were in red jerseys for a little bit. Obviously JC, because of the foot, we were a little bit concerned about any setbacks. CJ Henderson, wasn't really sure what was going on there, but they're back. With our cornerback room being thin already with Keith Taylor going down, we can't afford to lose any more corners. We're honestly getting a little bit concerning in terms of corner, just as much as the edge, not for the lack of talent at the top, but just depth, because these guys are taking a lot of reps and back-to-back days. We're still in the thick of training camp. We haven't even got a preseason yet. So we want to make sure these guys are healthy, especially when you have guys like Keith Taylor blowing out hamstrings, which are soft tissue injuries, which could come, some of them are freak injuries, but a lot of them can come from muscle fatigue as we get into the dog days. So pay attention to those, but it's happy to have CJ and JC back in some capacity. JC obviously not doing any team drills, just doing individual, wearing helmet and shoulder pads only when the rest of the team is in full pads. But him moving around is still good news to me. All right. And last but not least, which is probably my favorite piece of news, is that it seems like Matt Rhule has finally come around and started putting Ickey at left tackle. They got a lot more left tackle reps with Brady Christensen at left guard today in practice. And when asked about it after practice, Matt Rhule had this to say.
We're going to be more aggressive, giving him some reps, and just continuing to move the lineups around a little bit. We kind of in the first phase of, hey, everyone's kind of learned everything now. I don't think you can evaluate guys when, you have Brian Burns out there going against one guy. We want to make sure multiple guys get reps against Brian and Etor and all those guys. So we're just going to continue to roll guys. We also kind of moved to a little bit longer periods today in terms of amount of reps in a row as we build our conditioning. So less subbing, more, it's how do we play when we're tired.
And as you can see, he had the words, we want to be very aggressive. And his fallback and reasoning for it was, now that stuff is mostly installed, let's try to get better. I don't know if I buy that completely. Why not give him reps while he's learning? You know what I'm saying? I understand bringing him on slow, but it's the NFL, man. You got to put your big boy pants on. If you think that he can't handle a full plate of work, why would you draft him at number 6? You got to let these guys go. You got to cut that umbilical cord, pop the titty out their mouth, whatever you want to say. Let these guys get out there and spin. Seems like they're finally starting to do that. How I feel about Brady Christensen being left guard over Michael Jordan, I'm not sure. I wasn't a big fan of Brady last year at left guard. Some people are critical because they don't think he got that dog in him like a Michael Jordan or Ickey Ekwonu when it comes to being nasty in the interior like a guard should be. And not to mention he doesn't have a ton of experience at left guard. So why would you keep delaying putting Brady Christensen in at left guard for the majority of the time and Ickey at left tackle? That was the plan, because Ickey never played left guard from what I read and what I've reported and what I've seen. He never played left guard. So the intent was always to play him at left tackle, even though me and you guys on the channel here, we kind of floated around the idea of possibly putting Brady Christensen at left tackle, Ickey at left guard, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Matt Rhule's finally coming around. We still don't have Bradley Bozeman in at center. I don't know what's going on. I understand that the Brady Christensen and Ickey thing is kind of close at left tackle because Brady has been balling, but I don't think there's anybody in the NFL or inside the organization or any fans that would mistakenly say that Pat Elflein is better than Bradley Bozeman at center. That's not a hot take. This is not breaking news. Bradley Bozeman is an established vet. Pat Elflein is an overpaid interior lineman. Yes, he's better at center, but maybe that's just because he's that garbage at guard from what we saw before. Who knows? However, still no reason to not put Bozeman in there. Some people are saying that he needs to get some work with the quarterback, taking snaps, and with the quarterbacks rotating, it doesn't really matter. I don't care about him taking snaps with the quarterback. I'm worried about him building continuity with the starting offensive line group. Taking snaps from a quarterback, that's not anything that really takes a ton of practice. Yes, you want to get a bunch of repetitions in there. However, that's no excuse to put him on the second team when you know that he should and is going to be the starter if that's the case. I don't know why. I did have a little rant this weekend on Twitter, and a lot of the Matt Rhule truthers got mad at me, but nevertheless, these were questions that need to be answered. I guess bullying works and they pay attention to the timeline, because coming Monday, they did that today at practice. So being very aggressive with Ickey at left tackle, I'll be anxious to see how things shape up. We're going up to Washington and face the Commanders. It's going to really test Ickey's motor, and it's going to be good for him because there's not too many slouches on the DN side that we face in the NFL on our schedule. You guys let me know down below in the comments, how do you feel about him finally putting Ickey at left tackle, and why do you think that Bozeman may be the backup center right now, and clearly he's probably better than Pat Elflein? Let me know down below in the comments. But all the other topics, like I said, guys, make sure you give me your thoughts. Let's chop it up down below. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been another edition of Panthers News Today. Make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss any notifications. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.